So, Jordan, how would you describe our guest today?
How would I describe our guest? I would call him a machine.
Straight to the point. I absolutely love it. Brian, how we doing, man? You all right?
I am doing pretty good. I was going to sit here and try to bust out some like bands, do some curls, like while we're doing this whole interview, just to live up to the machine nickname. But it was stuck in my bag, so that joke didn't go over so well. But I'm doing good. I'm doing good. Another day, one day forward too for my coming back from this double knee surgery I've had. So yeah, things aren't too shabby.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Jordan, we've got loads of stuff to talk about, though, right? I mean, we've got a massive long list.
Definitely is. Probably as long as probably Brian's arms.
Right. Well, I mean, I got a decent arm, but the width is what really counts.
Yeah, awesome. Brian, you said obviously there you had surgery. Was it back in April?
So yeah, I had the quad tendon surgery in April, and then so people know my right knee has been bothering me forever. Like, I mean, we're probably talking 18 months. And I've been postponing because we never. Well, I say we. I mean, any athlete, not just wrestlers, never want to take time off. Obviously, out of sight, out of mind. And I just kept pushing through. And so, like, it just started to like. I mean, I would jump wrong or land weird or take a step weird or like slip and catch myself, whatever. And my knee would just blow up. It'd be clamped for like a week, and then it'd be limited. And just try to push through it. And my workouts were sucking. And obviously, then too, from working out and traveling and wrestling, then I'm home and trying to be dad life and day-to-day stuff would be terrible. So the goal was, all right, I'm going to get through All In, which we just did. And then this week, technically, was when I was tentatively looking at getting this knee set for surgery to take care of that. Now, unfortunately, I tore this knee at the end of March, and I had to wait for a couple weeks before I could get surgery on it. And then while I was already out and it sucked, I was like, you know what? I really wanted that right knee done anyways. This knee was coming along really well, the left one. And I knew I could come back pretty quick, but I was like, I don't want to come back and then still have the right knee be an issue. And then have that like now try to find a time for that because if I'm just out for several months and then I gotta find another time to try to go out to get the right knee fixed. I go, you know what? It's gonna suck. Let's just do it now. So then I went and had the right one done too, which has not been fun. Not been fun at all trying to rehab both of them. And the left one's kind of gone a little backwards in some regards because it went from doing about 20% of the work to having to do 80% or so more of the work when it wasn't ready for it. So it's been a little bit of a struggle, but we're getting through. You open up the podcast here saying that I was a machine, so that's what I'm trying to do. I'm like, all right, well, let's go ahead and make do and try to come back 127% when I'm good to go. So yeah, that's what we're doing.
When can we expect you back?
I'm not giving anyone any dates or times. I know when I want to be back. I know when I think I'll be back, but I don't want anybody to have any sort of expectations or more so any sort of anticipation for that day. I want it to just be a complete surprise. So I say that too because, and I've said this story a lot, and I'll just touch on it quickly. I was supposed to be in the original Double or Nothing Battle Royal as a big surprise, and TNA, because I was the world champion at the time, they pulled me out of it last minute because I wasn't winning. Though I was showcasing the most, eliminating everyone. It was going to come down to me and Adam Page at the end. Page would go over and face Jericho for the title. But so then you fast forward a year later, and I got to have my surprise debut at Double or Nothing 2020. Unfortunately, that was pandemic, so there was nobody in the crowd. So if somehow we could find a good way for me to have a surprise debut or return with nobody knowing and get that like surprise kind of pop, that would be great. So it's eluded me for a while now. So I don't want anybody to know. I don't want to be like, oh, it should be this date, and everybody's like, oh, cool, that date around that date. I want people to not have any idea. So that way it just happens when it happens.
Love it. I absolutely love it. Straight to the point and stuff like that. Now, you mentioned obviously TNA there, Brian. I want to ask you about your feud with Sami Callahan in TNA because that's one of my personal favorites. What's some of your highlights from that one?
It's one of my favorite feuds. The storyline felt so personal, so real. And Sammy's great to work with. He has a great mind, great knowledge of wrestling, very highly underappreciated, and doesn't get his full dues for that. And he really worked hard too on making me just look like an absolute monster throughout the whole program as well. And he does a phenomenal job of just looking like a dastardly, scumbag. Yeah, I really like the work the whole time. the blow off at Bound for Glory is great. I had the Wolverine entrance. I had Melissa put on my shoulders afterwards. With like Miss Elizabeth Macho Man, and too, she took the crazy car driver, and like it was all good program. And funny enough, because that was the blow off, right? But then I still ended up losing the title to him in a cage match when we switched over to Access Television. And so I was saying it's funny because at All In, not saying they stole it, but the finish for a cage match was very similar to the finish of Mercedes and Tony, because his finish was a power driver, so he hits me the power driver, kick out. Then we go to the multiple power drivers, which is like what Tony did, and then I kick out. And it's funny because they do the multiple power drivers, kicks out. There's a big falsy for Mercedes. They continue on to finish the power driver off the top rope. So exactly what we did. I kick out the multiple power drivers. We do a big falsy for me. We continue power driver off the top rope in the cage. 1, 2, 3. Sami wins. But what's funnier about the coincidence of like it being almost the same match was the falsy for me and the top rope power driver were all called on the fly. So we had the multiple power drivers was supposed to be the finish, and then after we hit it, like I guess something happened. The show was way light, so the referee was screaming at us that they were screaming at him like, "Do not go home! Do not fucking go home! Do not." So then we just improvised. We did a couple cool freaking things for me. I got big falsies, and then I was like, "What do we need for a finish now?" And I'm beating him up, and we're just like working up on the top, like we're both trying to get out. And he goes, "Oh, can you take a power drive off the top?" I go, "Fuck it, let's just do it." And then he just power drive me off the top, and that was like the improv finish. So it's funny to see very similar, like kind of design to that match at All In, which very much was reminiscent to ours when ours was I guess accidental per se. But nevertheless, yes, Sami is great. Great friend, and great heel, great everything in the ring. And I thought we were actually going to get him when he was away from TNA for a little bit, but it didn't work out. Now he's back over there.
100%. John, back to you, man.
Awesome. So you debuted in AEW in 2020, and then obviously being a part of Team Taz, you're now a part of Don Callis family, but one of my favorite things was a cinematic match that you had with Ricky Starks, Darby Allin, and Sting.
Absolutely.
You gave Sting his first move back, didn't you?
Yep. Yeah. So we'll just touch on what you said first, even though it's not chronological order. The cinematic match is phenomenal. To me, that's the best cinematic match ever. I don't want to hear no shit about AJ Styles and Undertaker. Nah. I'll tell you why too. Because that match was actually cinematic. I felt like everything else was just kind of filmed differently, but it was still like more of a wrestling match. Like the fact of like how these shot and edited and how we have the cool entrances, and like one of my favorite shots too is like where like Sting is beating up Ricky in the ring, and they have that crazy freaking zoom cam that flies over all the way down the hallway to me picking up Darby out. Like there's just so many cool things in that, and I will give credit that a lot of those I guess camera work and ideas stuff. That a lot of it was Darby's stuff too. But yeah, that was a really cool special match that was really meaningful and memorable for me. And it's funny. So Sting came back to just do cinematic matches because it was kind of getting a little bit of popularity, and he was thinking his career was probably done. He couldn't really wrestle and bump like he could anymore, or at least so he thought. And he thought it'd be easier to do some cinematic matches and be able to, carry on his legacy that way. So after we finished, because mind you, we shoot this thing for like 2 or 3 nights, and it's all overnight. It's in the warehouse. It's like wintertime. It's freezing. It's like 40 degrees. It's so cold. And it's not like we have a bunch of crash pads, and we're not doing stuff like a Hollywood movie set. So we're just doing the moves over and over. There's no crowd. It's stop and go, change the lighting, do this and that. So it's just like taking all these bumps and moves and hitting each other over and over and over again. Super cold. It was awful. Like there's a scene where I hit him with the snow shovel, and the boom mic guy kept on getting in the way. So I was hitting him hard, and it's a real snow shovel. And I remember myself feeling bad too, because I'm like, man, I can't keep killing Sting, but I can't phone it in. And I remember, I don't know how the sound guy kept getting in the way. And I remember the last time we did, because it was like 3 times in a row we did. We had to keep redoing it. And I think his name was Steve. And Sting goes, "Hey, Steve, do we have to talk for a minute? Did you want to get hit by the shovel? Like, and see how it feels? Maybe you can get your ass out of the way." But yeah, then they talked about me powerbombing Sting leading up to that match. And it kind of happened impromptu because there was a big storm in Texas. A lot of people weren't able to fly in. I made it in because I changed my flight. And it was like kind of like last minute just for a surprise. So I was like, yeah, I'm thinking you can just powerbomb Sting. And he was like putting me over to Sting. And I didn't think much of it because I didn't want to like overthink anything. Because again, I could give him the most perfect, beautiful, perfect powerbomb of all time. And if anything happened, it would still be my fault. You know what I mean? Like it. So there was a little bit of worry of that. So I didn't think about it. And then afterwards, walking to the back, I was so excited. I go, dude, I just powerbombed Sting because obviously he's a lifelong wrestling fan. Sting was one of my favorites as a kid. He was my very first wrestling action figure I ever owned. And then, yeah, to have him basically be retired and come back, and then I gave him his first bump. It was pretty neat. It was pretty cool. Equally cool was to take the Scorpion Death Drop the following week. So very cool.
Awesome. Well, yeah, more over to you, man.
Yeah, I want to ask about your time in Lucha Underground. What do you remember about that?
That it was the best freaking time of wrestling in my entire life. Like AEW's, great. It's so much fun. I mean, I love pro wrestling in general, but Lucha Underground, I said it constantly when it was on the air. My favorite quote from like all my interviews then was, "I want to be a wrestler since I was 10 years old." It wasn't until Lucha Underground that I felt how I thought it would feel to be a pro wrestler at 10 years old. It was so good, and I thought it was going to be such a clusterfuck. I don't know if we can cuss. I'm sorry, I've dropped a few bombs, I thought it would be such a cluster. I thought it was going to be a quick payday. It would be up and down like WSX on MTV. And I just thought nobody knew what they were doing there, whatever. I couldn't have been so wrong. It was so awesome, so great. Literally the only place, too, I've ever worked where everyone was genuinely just so excited and so happy for everyone. Everyone was like an equal stepping stones. Everyone was so hyped. No one was politicking. And you couldn't really politic too much either because it was already written out like a TV show. Because and that's what I loved about it too. It wasn't a wrestling show on TV. It was a TV show about wrestling. So in regards, it almost came across more real because it was more fake. I don't know how that works. But like you don't watch Walking Dead and go, oh, that zombie wouldn't really do that. But it's not portraying itself as an actual live sporting event. It's portraying itself as a TV show. So you're watching a TV show, you're not expecting it to be over the top realism. And the fact that, I get to punch somebody's head off and there's people are killed and people are mythological creatures. And it was so much fun. It was so neat. And obviously I ended up meeting my wife there. So zero complaints. I wish we would have got a season 5 so there could have been an actual finality to it if they known that was going to be the last season. Because even the cliffhanger at the end of season 4 after Ultima Lucha was so great. And I was like, man, I knew that was it. It wasn't going to happen anymore. But I was like, I would really have to see where this goes from here. So.
Awesome. John, it's over to you, man.
So, obviously, Brian, we've established that you are a machine and you've obviously had bangers with Sami Callahan. You then signed with AEW. You've also been in the ring with, he's also known as the best bout machine, Kenny Omega. That, in my opinion, is one of my favorite matches of yours in AEW. Would you say that Kenny... Sorry.
I was saying, is there a question or was that just a statement? No. Go ahead.
Sorry, yeah, that's the question. I would say that's my favorite match of yours. What would you say it's like preparing for a match with Kenny?
Well, a lot of people know that was a match I wanted for a really long time. Actually, starting in Lucha Underground, I was doing obviously Kenny is a great wrestler and I know who he is. So I'd love to work him. And then really kind of built it more was in Lucha Underground, I started the Terminator clap, the chant. And then Kenny would do it for the dive. Now, I had no idea that Kenny was doing it for the dive. And then somebody else did like the homework. And I don't know what the first time we ever did it date-wise. Somebody said that I actually did beat him to the punch. And if I didn't, I still did it on my own. Like I was just, so I don't know if you guys remember, there's a really popular video of a bus driver uppercutting this lady that was trying to steal a ride. Like she was like spitting on him and hitting on him or whatever else. And then finally pulls the bus over and he goes, "That's it. You're going to jail now. You're going." And then he uppercuts the hell out of her. Anyways, funny viral video. This is from like 2012. But so when I would signal up for the discus lariat, I would say like, "Oh, you're going to jail now." And like when that video was popular, people would pop for it. And I was like, man, I need something else because that's kind of outdated. I go, I want something else. I was like, you know what? I know what I'll do. Before I freaking do a big move, I'll start doing the Terminator clap to see people get into it. and it was the filming of Lucha Underground season 2. I started a suplex is when I did the deadlift suplex to Taya Valkyrie through the 2 tables on the outside. And right beforehand, and they edited out me doing the clap because it shows the crowd doing it. But right before I do it, I'm fired up. I go, and then everyone started doing it. And then just like that, it caught on like wildfire, and it just always happened. So that really started the heat for Kenny and I to like want to have a match because it was like the battle of the machines for the Terminator clap. But yeah, that I wanted to work on this whole time. There's a lot of close calls, almost happened. And I actually was scheduled to work on one time too, and then I hurt my knee right before I'm just so devastated on. But yes, then he was out forever. He came back. I got to have his first match back in AEW, which was great. I enjoyed that match a lot. I was pretty hyped. I knew it wasn't going to be the match that we could have and that I would want to have. Now, you just said it was still one of your favorites, but because I just knew him coming back and the situation. And that's one thing about like wrestling on TV as opposed to just wrestling on like on an indie show. Like in a big time indie show or obviously a pay-per-view, like when it's a one-off just big match, you obviously can go balls to the wall and have your 5-star main event and do it, just go out there and do everything but the kitchen sink. But in TV times and the storylines and this and that and time restraint, like obviously you're somewhat limited. So I was super ecstatic. I enjoyed the match. It was great. But I like the only like, I don't want to say disappointing, but for lack of a better word, the only disappointing aspect to it was I knew it was a fraction of what we could do and what I wanted to do.
Yeah.
Okay. That's me. Yeah, so you've obviously spoke about this feud with Sami, the feud with Kenny Omegaville. What's some of your personal highlights? What's some of your favorite matches?
In general?
In general,
like anywhere?
Yeah.
Well, obviously, my matches with Chris Kanyon are phenomenal and sentimental to me beyond belief. So those would probably be hard to ever top. I'll just start rattling them off. And not a lot of people have seen this one, but there's a couple of matches in Florida Championship Wrestling against TJ Wilson, Tyson Kidd, that are just great. I think it's so unfortunate he can't wrestle more because I felt like he was the best guy I've ever wrestled like in WWE land. He's so good. Nakajima and Noah for the world title over there. Really one of my favorite matches. My TNA world title defense at Slammiversary versus Michael Elgin is one of my top favorite matches, especially because I actually was still injured and shouldn't have been wrestling that night. And we did. So like everything in that match that hurt is real. And it's almost all about Shawn Michaels, Stone Cold Steve Austin, WrestleMania 14. But the match itself is so great. And I love wrestling Elgin because to me, he was a guy who had a very similar style to me, but also was a big and super strong guy that could believably do a lot of big power moves that a lot of other people couldn't. Could believably put heat on me and keep me down. My match with Roger Strong from PWG was really great. You talked about Lucha Underground. Obviously, my matches with Willie Mack there. Bring up Sami Callahan again. My 3-way match with him and Mil Muertes was really fun. And then probably my all-time favorite match in Lucha Underground might have been Matanza, Jeff Cobb, because it was an excellent match. It was one of the only matches that was heavily touted as a good match. That wasn't because a lot of Lucha Underground had a lot of extreme stuff into it. You know what I mean? A little extra violent, hardcore, no DQ stuff, which is great. But I loved that match because it was just a straight wrestling match.
Awesome. John, back to you, man.
So, Brian, obviously you are in the 2023 Hall of Fame for WSW Australia.
Yes, sir.
Personally, myself, I love Australia. I love what they do out there, not just WSW, but PWA. I love Robbie Eagles but for you going over there, doing them tours so many times, being the world champion, being the tag champion, what would you say is different compared to an American crowd and an Australian crowd?
Well, I mean, I feel like just foreign crowds in general, especially the crowd over in the UK, just in Germany, I mean, Europe, Germany included, obviously, are so hot. And I feel like because it's just not only a different fan base, but for us, and I'm seeing that from like a US foreigner, it's obviously people don't get to see you normally, right? So you kind of have the extra buzz. But yeah, those WSW tours and the Australia fans are freaking phenomenal. Like it's literally my favorite place be and to compete. As far as how hyped they are, how much they are ecstatic to see us continuously come out there, year after year. The being out there so many times and like the amount of merch I can still sell every single time, just because the fans are so great and they bring all the gifts. Like I love it there. That's like my home away from home. So this is the biggest injury I've ever had, tearing this quad tendon, going back to that surgery. And I've been okay mentally, and people have checked in on me like, no, I'm totally fine being home and being away from the ring. And maybe it was a much needed break, but my biggest bummer about it was right when it happened. It was the weekend I was supposed to be leaving to Australia for my farewell tour for WSW, and I was so devastated about that because obviously I could go back out there and Adrian could book me again, but what a lot of people don't know is contractually there could be some stuff could change with my contract, which could prevent me possibly from being able to go back out there, which is why that was going to be my farewell tour. So not saying that I won't be able to, but I can't say that I will either. So like that was like the biggest heartbreak for me. I was like, no, and I was so gunned up again. I set everything up with people because I have tons of friends out there now too, and especially within the fitness community and all the several cities we go to. So yeah, I hope I get to go back out there and it works out, and I guess time will tell. But definitely one of my favorite places to wrestle. Definitely my favorite, if you want to call it an indie promotion. But like, to me, yeah, it was like the independent version of Lucha Underground, and it was the same, but as far as the same excitement and feeling I got as opposed to Lucha Underground.
Yeah, back to you, Liam.
Awesome. I want to ask about the Kill City Cup because obviously that's a project I know you were in. How did that all come about? And talk about filming it.
About what?
The Kill City Cup.
Oh, Kill City Cup. So I remember. So he hit me up to film it because he filmed just like a pilot kind of situation first, and I was booked or I wasn't available or whatever the case, and I thought it was done. And I saw Natalie Markova, who's a phenomenal women's wrestler, and I hope she blows up. Take that crazy powerbomb through a table, and it looked pretty cool. And then he hit me up about filming it. I go, I thought you did film it. And he goes, oh no, that was just like a teaser thing, like to get hype behind it. And I go, okay. So we worked it out, and I really still wasn't sure what it was. I saw one clip of her getting powerbomb through a table. And that was it. I'm like, I don't know. And he kept on saying it's going to be like this Mortal Kombat cross wrestling, but like in movie form. And I was like, okay, it sounds kind of cool, but I still didn't really know what it meant. And he booked me, and so I showed up, and then we're all getting makeup and stuff, and we still just had live matches, and then they cropped up like they did. But it was really fun, and it turned out a lot cooler than I thought it would be. And obviously, if that idea had a full freaking budget and everything else, it could be pretty cool. But the biggest takeaway was getting to work. So I was already a fan of Natalie Markova, and I'd already seen her. She got booked to AEW, and I was like becoming more friends with her. But then getting to work with her, I'm actually not a big fan of intergender matches, and obviously this is a movie, so it's a little different. But I remember when they were really popular in the mid-teens, and I had several great ones, with Tessa and even Statlander and everything else. I really wanted to do it just to prove that I could. But one thing, like watching anybody work, and then working and thinking they're good, and then wrestling them is a different way to say how good they actually are. So I say that because when I wrestled Natalie Markova in that match at Kill City Cup, oh my God, she was phenomenal. So and the bump she takes and how she sells everything is ridiculous. So she deserves. This is almost becoming a plug just for her, but she deserves to blow up for sure. But yeah, it was a fun, interesting thing, and it was cool. I got the T-shirt and the poster. We got the little different independent film awards and stuff. So it was pretty cool. I didn't really know what to expect or think much of it. But hey, I'm glad it's got what it has.
Yeah, Jordan, if you haven't seen it, go check it out. It's really interesting.
I can't say I have seen it, but after this, I'll probably go and have a look at it.
Anyway, it's back to you, man.
Brian, what would you say is the most rewarding thing about being a professional wrestler?
I mean, for me, it's like I just wanted to do my whole life. Like that's the most like just to have that sense of accomplishment of chasing your dream and achieving it. That for sure my number one. I mean, outside of that, obviously the fans. So like when I get a message from anybody that says I, encouraged them to do this, to chase this dream, to accomplish this goal, to lose this weight, to whatever. Man, that to me always strikes me really hard in the heart, and I'm like, holy crap! Because I don't think of myself as any big deal, and I'm like, oh, I'm just a wrestler. Like if I'm on a flight, someone's a stewardess would be like, oh, hey, are you someone famous? And I go, maybe to some people. Like, so I don't think of myself in any sort of special way. And then when somebody takes something that I've done or I've said or whatever the case, and that impacts their life in some way for the positive, and I get word of that, that to me is tremendously irreplaceable and priceless. Actually, just shared something right before we jumped on this. I was looking for a post with someone to post about a happy birthday shout out, and I saw this throwback photo from my nephew. It was about 8.5 years ago or so, and he was chasing after. He was playing football, little pee-wee game of football, and he's chasing after the guy that was far away from him, running into the end zone. He scored the touchdown, but he was chasing and running after him so hard, hoping to catch up to him to tackle him. Anyways, it's a post from his mom. And I go, I was so proud of my son Grayson today, that he didn't give up and he tried. And I told him that I was proud of him. This is me quoting her. And then my nephew says, he goes, yeah. I know Brian never quit, never gave up on wrestling. So it made me not want to give up on running after him. And that and obviously he's a little kid there at that time, and he's in all my ups and downs and full struggles. But the fact that he just knows, and my brother, his dad, was one of the few too that would always kind of believe in me just because I was so determined to make stuff happen. So the fact that, however, that got relayed to my nephew, and for him to say that, that the fact that I never stopped, that I never gave up, that I never quit, made him, not quit just in that moment. I just said it again. It was like one of my favorite posts ever. So those kind of things I feel like is the most endearing and rewarding thing about being a wrestler.
Awesome. I want to ask, how did the machine nickname come about?
That was Excalibur at PWG. Whenever I do the deadlift suplex or any event, sometimes when I just do like other feats of strength or one of a flip or dive or something just for my size and my look. But mainly the deadlift suplex would really start out. He just started saying Brian Cage is a fucking machine. And then fans would start saying it and stuff. And then, I'd hear it on the PWG DVDs. And I thought it was rad. And then obviously I can't say that that's what it was. It was always fucking machine. And then obviously you can't say that on TV and stuff, but everybody just took the machine moniker and ran with it. So that just became mine. And I feel like that's the best moniker. You can give yourself any sort of moniker. It could be cool, clever, catchy, even you can make sense of it. But when somebody else gives you a moniker, that is the best. Like for people who don't know, Mr. Perfect, Kurt Hennig, coined the phrase "Heartbreak Kid" for Shawn Michaels. Shawn Michaels to come up with it. So I feel like when somebody else bestows a name upon you, it's so much more fitting. Just like also the Swolverine nickname. I own that. I have that trademark. But actually, everyone, when I would be a heel at random indie shows, people would call me Wolverine when I had the sideburns and the hair and stuff. And I would usually fire back. I'd flex my arm, like, yeah, right. Hugh Jackman wishes he was this big, or whatever the case. And some guy in the crowd goes, yeah, that's because you're the Swolverine. And I was all, just write that down. All right, I'm going to steal that. Thank you very much. And so yeah, that's how I got that name.
That's incredible. How about you, man?
So, Brian, you all select few who is in a video game, AEW Fight Forever.
Mm-hmm.
How did it come about you being selected for the game when AEW at the time had people still under contract from 2019 till 2023 when it came out? And what was the process like for you? Obviously, we know that if you're with WWE 2K, they get scanned and stuff like that. Is it the same process for you?
No, they're like, who should be in the game for the roster for AEW? And I was like, who better? And they're like, I mean, all right, can't argue with that. No, I wasn't even sure I was going to be in the game the whole time. I know everyone took photos for it. Everyone kind of did some stock stuff. we didn't do any of the motion capture work for it. But I don't know. It was just kind of unknown. And then I heard that I was going to be, but I still didn't really know. I didn't really know until the game came out. So I don't know how they selected. I don't know how the process went. And like I said, a lot of people just kind of assumed, but none of us knew for sure. But it was pretty sweet that the game and my action figure came out like in the same like kind of time span right there. So to go, to have being in a real video game and having my own action figure at the same time, which also my action figure is far not jacked enough. Like everyone, I'm the only real life person who's more jacked than his action figure. Like everyone else's action figure is so, like, it should be over exaggerated. It's an action figure. It's like a comic book. And even my son, my older son, when he got it, he goes, "Dad, why's your figure so small?" I go, Thank you. I'm glad you thought so too. But I mentioned motion capture work. I did do the motion capture work for several 2K games, including my own stuff. Right? The first one was booked there. They even said like, "Oh, you're one of the more created wrestlers online, so we wanted to have you just do your own move set." So that's why when people do create me on WWE games, my entrance, my finishers, the drill claw, just like everything in there, my taunts, it is all me doing it. So that's why if you ever see me do like make a good Brian Cage, it's because it's all my moves and it's me doing everything.
Interesting.
Very interesting. So, Brian, I want to talk about the fan base because we know fans can be quite vocal and stuff like that. What's one thing that fans will never understand when it comes to wrestling?
That we have no control over booking stuff. Like I feel like so many people that's probably the one negative that I see online on like Twitter and stuff. And they're like, "Oh, I don't know why Brian Cage doesn't just do this. I don't know why would he just why does he well because I can't. Like you can't just do whatever you want. Like sure, would I like to wrestle this guy? Oh, would I like to beat this guy? Oh, would I like to do these moves or go this long or cut this promo or have this TV time or yes, and yes. Does that mean I get it? No. Like it's like even when I was like coming up in wrestling, sometimes people will go, "Hey man, like have you ever thought about going to Japan?" I'm like, "Oh shit, no, where's that?" I've never thought of that. Like just talking about New Japan, obviously. And I go, "Oh, let me just buy a plane ticket and fly over there and just show up at Tokyo Dome and get on the show. Yeah, no problem. That's all you have to do, right? Like it's not that simple, obviously." So yeah, I feel like that's one of the biggest thing. I guess people like will kind of complain about certain things as if we have any choice in the matter. Like that's just how it goes sometimes, and you kind of get dealt the card or the hand that you have, and then you try to make lemonade out of lemons. So you just do what you can.
Okay. John, back to you, man.
So it's recently been, shall we say, reported in the dirt sheets that you are going to be in an upcoming film with Lance Archer. Can you tell us anything about the upcoming project that you have?
The only thing I can say is more about how it came to be, so to speak.
Yeah.
Because I don't. It doesn't even have a full name or anything yet. Like what is? Whenever you do a movie, especially a major motion picture, or whatever, there's always code names because they do that so people can't spoil stuff. And you just have to sign like NDAs and whatnot. But there's usually always fake names and fake stuff. So that way, if you're saying, "Oh, I'm doing this bullfrog movie," I'm just making up a word. Or what the hell is that? And it could be, it could be a Thor 4 or something, but they're just having a code name so that way you don't know what to call it or say. Needless to say, like, yeah, all I can say is it was Chavo hit me up about Chavo Guerrero because he does a lot of liaison wrestling TV stuff, and about doing a TV show, and it looked like it was about to be greenlit, and then got postponed. And I'm like, "Oh, well, no big deal." And then he goes, "Hey, actually, there's this movie that might be cool that they're interested. Like here, I'm gonna give this guy a contact. He wants all your information. I would recommend you emailing him." So I emailed the guy. I go through the process, give him all my details, information, like audition wise. And I never hear back. And I've auditioned for a lot of stuff that kind of falls in my lap. And I'm not like acting's great. It's cool. It's so much fun. I'm not some big actor, and I'm not like pursuing like it's some dream. But obviously, the stuff I've gotten to do and almost do is fun. So like as more often than not, you kind of do it, and then you don't hear anything back about it, and you just figured, okay, I guess it's not happening. So, and I didn't know what it was for or anything. I just know that it was highly recommended by Chavo and that this guy wanted to talk to me and that I should. So, several weeks go by, and then all of a sudden I get an email, and it says, "Hey, I just sat down and watched all your stuff with the director. He absolutely loves you. He thinks you're perfect. You're exactly what he's looking for. He loves everything about you, your look, your charisma, your personality, everything." He goes, we want to offer you the role. He goes, give me a call when you can. So I'm like, oh, shit. So I give him a call. Again, I don't even know what it is, what we're doing movie-wise and stuff. And he goes, oh, yeah, man, we're watching it. And Steven said this and Steven said that, because I don't even know who it is. And I go, Steven. And he goes, oh, yeah, the director. It's Steven Spielberg. And I'm like, oh, shit. So even cooler than being in the film, a Steven Spielberg film, was the fact that he watched my stuff and then said, hey, this is the guy I want. This is the guy. So that right there was already like cool. I didn't care what I was doing or what happened. I go, that's a flex on its own. And then they said, hey, we actually want you to work with somebody. Is there somebody you would want to work with? And I said, well, because they did see some pictures with Lance. And they go, we did see that guy in the ring with you. I go, yeah, Lance is a good friend of mine. He's my partner in AEW. And he goes, yeah, would you be, would that be someone you'd want to work with and do some stuff with? I go, yeah, sure. Awesome. He goes, okay, well, we'll note that, but give us a list of some other guys. And so I did. And I thought Lance made the most sense and was the coolest or easiest. And but they're like, oh, just give us more just in case. And then obviously they went with Lance. And then, the fact that we got to go out there together and be in this movie was super cool. And I'm glad I got to do it right before I got hurt. So, and as of right now, I believe it's slated for a June 2026 release. I don't know if that'll stick or not, but yeah, that was very cool. And then I actually have a couple stuff that possibly might be happening on top of that now too. That I haven't began filming. So if I start getting to do some cool little stuff on the side like that, that'd be great.
Awesome. Liam, we're over to you, man.
Awesome. I want to talk about how hard is it juggling family life and wrestling life?
Terribly hard. Sorry, 1 second. That is one thing that I am not a master of. I have gotten better, but it's not easy. And I do, if I have regret, especially my older son, there's regret for that, for missing out on certain things. I always made him a priority, and I would always, for instance, I lived in Fresno area at that time, and I flew and did this tour. Excuse me, it was SoCal. So to put in perspective, I'm like 8 hours drive wise for my son. And I did this tour in South Korea, and then I fly back from South Korea, and I end up landing in Sacramento. So it's about 6 hour drive from there to get back home. And it's an hour and a half north to get to my son. So I just did this long tour in Korea. I just did this flight across the freaking ocean. I landed and I have a long drive home, but I'm so close to my son. I go, nah, forget that. So I drove up to Chico to spend the day with my son while I just landed and freaking jet lagged and tired as hell. And then drove back down, and I actually had pit stopped in Fresno then. So I was able to stay the night. But just to show the example of I had an opportunity, so I'm going to go ahead and make it happen, even though it wasn't. It was convenient. So that being said, I'll take this opportunity right now. This might be a little sidebar from this question, but I don't know why, but I don't know where last night. I don't know. Sorry. I don't know why. It just hit me. I just started thinking about it, and I love wrestling more than anything. I've loved it my whole life. I've wanted to be a wrestler my whole life. I'm a very selfish person. I feel like a lot of people that strive to accomplish something, especially in sports, entertainment, whatever, kind of have to be, because if you want to stand out and be the best, or close to the best, you have to go above and beyond, which means you're kind of pushing everything else and everyone else kind of to the side. That goes the same in bodybuilding world and fitness wise, where it's about my schedule, what I'm working out, when I got to work out, when I got to eat, what I got to eat, where I got to be, I got to sleep, I got to do this. It's me. I don't give a shit about anybody else. If I want to go and show up and be the best version, it's all about me. That being said, I feel like I've given more love and attention at times to wrestling over everybody else. And it wasn't until I was just laying in bed last night and I was thinking about that, and I was like, man, maybe this, like, there has been some benefits to this injury. My wife and I'm just being a little personal. My wife and I were going through a hard time, and it wasn't looking great. And I remember, and I think it's too spiritual on everybody right now. This is like a random opening. I remember really praying, and it's actually while we were filming this movie too, that we were just talking about the Spiller movie. While I was in New York, and I was really praying about it, and I was like, man, I basically willing to do anything and everything to save this and to make it work. And then I tore my quad tendon, and that really kind of, in a way, played a big role in kind of making things better, so to speak. And I feel like, maybe that was it. This whole time I've been chasing wrestling, putting wrestling above everything else. And I feel like I've been missing out so much and not really realizing it. And I think this was a bit of an eye opener, an opportunity for me to sit back and take in a lot of the stuff that I was maybe not giving as much attention to that I should have. I said it helped my relationship with my wife. It obviously gave me more time with my children. So to go back to that question, like, yes, it is hard. It's hard to manage both of them for sure. And then especially too, if you're prioritizing what you do, which is, it's great that I love what I do, because the right thing, you never work, you never feel like you work, but there is, a passion and love that starts to almost become into a negative, almost like an obsession level kind of thing, where it kind of damages other relationships and other things around you. And I do feel like, even if I've improved that throughout the last several years, I do feel like that's always been something, as I just started flashbacking last night and looking through my whole life, like, oh man. And I don't want to say I regret a whole lot, because you still, the paths you chose and took is still what led you to where you are today. And I'm very happy and content with where I'm at today. And obviously, it's lessons learned. But I definitely feel like, again, when I was reaching out, and I was really praying hard, because I thought, I was really scared my life was going to change a whole lot, not for the better. And for this opportunity to kind of happen, and to use the phrase divine intervention, seems almost kind of fitting, because of how much kind of changed and my eyes opened up without even like really realizing it. And I said, I just had this like kind of epiphany last night randomly, where I was just like, oh my God, like, look how everything's kind of turned out, and things have changed. And, the give and take, without getting too much into details. I was like, holy man. And I think it was my first time I've ever really admitted to myself, even though I've always known it, that of how selfish I can be, and like how much I really do put wrestling above everything else. And again, like, that's great to succeed at something, but there's also that fine line where it's like, all right, that's probably too much. So a little bit of a side quest there on that question. Sorry guys, but that hit me last night, and I go, you know what? If that comes up, I go, maybe I'll say something about that today. And I just felt like kind of fitting to answer that question there, to kind of give out. It was almost like an admission that I wanted to kind of just say, and I guess it's happened to be you guys' podcast, what I wanted to say, where it's I do feel bad that it's taken me that long to realize that, maybe I should have. And again, it's great to have this much love and passion for anything, especially wrestling. But I feel like I should have been able to manage that passion, that love a little better, to appreciate more things that I had in my life that probably weren't getting the same attention they should have been.
Wow, thank you so much for sharing that, man. That means a lot. Jordan, back to you, bro.
Yeah, just on what Liam just said, thank you for sharing that, Brian. I appreciate it.
No worries.
So obviously, a few days ago or a week ago, you just been baptized, if I'm correct.
Yes, that's it. Kind of fitting into the topic I was just talking about too. And then even then, just question there, I don't know. And again, I'm not trying to make this become like a big spiritual session with me too, but I think this shirt is so cool. It says, "It wasn't raining when Noah built the ark." And I just thought that's a super rich. And it just was happened to be a shirt that was the closest to me in a bag when I was leaving today. So I put it on, but it's I think it's a pretty cool similar shirt. But yes, go ahead. Yes, I was baptized just a couple weeks ago.
How important was it to be baptized to you?
So I've always been spiritual and religious, and I've always believed in God. And I was saved at a young age, but for whatever reason, I never wanted to get baptized. Like, not like I was like against it or like forget this, but I don't know. There was no desire for me to want to get baptized. And whenever I'd see someone do it or hear about it, I'm like, oh, that's cool, great, but it wouldn't entice me to do it. Didn't make me want to do it. And I couldn't really ever describe why. And just never even thought about it. Like, oh, maybe when they, like, I didn't care. Like I was like, oh, I believe in God and this and that, like it's fine. And I don't know what my issue was with baptized. And then my wife actually got baptized last October. And it was on a whim, and she just kind of did it. It was great. I was so supportive. I'm so proud. And even her doing it, it wasn't even like, oh, maybe I want to do it. It didn't even register to me at all. I'm like, oh, that's cool, whatever. And then the week before I'd gotten baptized, just kind of like just hit me last night. We're in our church service, and it was a fun service. And then they usually do like a big baptism service every so often or whatever, or not service, but like after the service they do one. And they just kind of started speaking about it, and immediately all of a sudden I wanted to do it. And again, I've never wanted to, didn't even care about it. And I just started thinking about it. I go, you know what? And I looked at my wife and I go, I think I might want to get baptized next week. And she was like, really? And I go, yeah, I don't know why, but I kind of think I do. And then that weekend, and she was thought that we wouldn't go to church. I go, no, I want to go to church because I want to get baptized today. So we go there, we do the service, and they bring up the baptism stuff, and the people want to do it. We all stand up, and we hadn't said anything to my daughter about it. My daughter usually always in the, like the child service, and she happened just to stay there this time. And I'm standing up, and they're talking about it. And she's talking to my wife, and she looks up, and my daughter goes, "Daddy, I want to get baptized." And so she has no idea I'm even getting baptized. We haven't said anything to her, so it wasn't like I coaxed her into doing it, or hey, you should do it too. You should do it. Like, it was just randomly on her own. She's like, I want to do it. So not only did it mean a lot to me, and I was glad that I did it. It was even that much more meaningful and memorable now because to get to do it together at the same time with my daughter, which was totally unplanned and really was really, really neat and special to me.
Awesome. Now, Brian, obviously you've been in multiple promotions, tons and tons of matches. Is there anybody you'd like to get in the ring with?
AJ Styles has been my dream match forever. That's the simple answer. Like Kenny Omega was like the dream match in AEW, and like I wanted to work with forever. But I mean, like dream match would be Prime Shawn Michaels, which obviously that just can't happen. But AJ Styles has been the guy I've wanted to work since pretty much I've started wrestling, and actually was even like kind of daydreaming yesterday, and I was like, man, when's AJ's contract up? I go, I wonder what the likelihood that maybe he'd come over to AEW for like even just a year to kind of finish off this deal, and maybe we could like I was just trying to just sit there and make believe a little scenario where I was just like oh yeah, maybe that could happen. Maybe that could happen. I don't know if he's wrestling forever and he's getting paid a lot, and maybe because I know he was going to retire, I believe, and then they offered such a good deal to stay, and I feel like they offered him such a good deal to stay because obviously he would be someone, him obviously being close with a lot of people in AEW, where he would maybe try and jump ship, and I feel like they offered a lot of money to stay longer just to kind of keep him from going to AEW. But for me, anyways, going back to my love and passion for wrestling, if I worked in one company for a long time, and then I was done, but I could go do like a part-time, year run somewhere or something like that, just to kind of do some fun matches, different crowd, different people. Obviously, there's a lot of old familiar faces and friends from our Ring of Honor, PWG and stuff, and New Japan for AJ. I was like, oh, I feel like just at least this is for me, that it would be fun to go, like, okay, I'm done here. Let me go do this little side quest real quick. Before I hang it up. And obviously that doesn't mean that it'll happen. I'm just kind of talking on my ass and trying to manifest something just so I can selfishly get the opportunity to work AJ Styles. But yeah, that's the main guy I would love to work.
Awesome. John, back to you, bro.
So going back to what Liam's just said, obviously you faced so many people, and before you got injured, you was, correct me if I'm wrong, scheduled to face the Hurt Syndicate for the tag titles.
So that was one. It's funny you mentioned what's one thing you wish fans knew about wrestling. So that was one thing that started getting me a little irritated. We were never booked to work the Hurt Syndicate. Never. For the pay per view right before I got hurt. Now we were booked to work Hurt Syndicate for the Revolution pay per view, and we were supposed to have, like, not only were we going, hey, we need a real win, and then the Hurt Syndicate and like characters like, you guys need a real win. Then even backstage, they're like, you guys need a real win. So like, we were trying to find someone to work, and the Outrunners walked by. I'm like, hey, what about the Runners? And they're like, oh, okay, yeah, that could work. So like, okay, cool. We did a little segment, booked. We're like, oh yeah, if you guys win, then we'll give you guys a title shot. Then they were going to work us. We were going to beat them. We were going to work Hurt Syndicate at Revolution, which would have been. And I know the Hurt Syndicate wanted to work with us because I have my history with Bobby Lashley. Shelton and Lance have a lot of history from LA or New Japan and WWE. Plus, I know they wanted to work with us because we're two big monstrous guys too. They can actually have a believable match, and just like I said with Elgin and me, we could actually put believable heat on them and everything else. Then the Outrunners do that little viral thing in Nebraska for that basketball deal out of nowhere, which is so random. Which I always thought was funny because they don't give credit to, they don't say their names, they don't say their wrestling names, their tag team name. They even say AEW. They just go, oh, a couple of pro wrestlers come down, so it's very generic. But it didn't even really go viral, but it got a little traction obviously online. So out of nowhere, literally right before our match, they go, oh wait, the Runners are up now, and we're like, what? And so we put them over so that they're going to work our syndicate. And then the idea was supposedly that we were going to continue the feud, which actually I liked more to stretch it out just because everyone kept on asking for Hurt Syndicate and us. And I felt like it was a little too quickly booked. Like, I'd rather build it and kind of get something. Don't just be like, oh, hey, you guys, let's have a match. Like I felt like it was too rushed booked. So, okay, if we could do this, because the Hurt Syndicate kind of distracted us, and they could almost like, where it almost looks like, and that was their decision too. They were saying, like, oh, if it looks like we're kind of evading you guys, like we're badasses, but we don't want to wrestle you guys. I feel like there's more to do it, and we could build it to the next pay per view. I go, yeah, for sure. And then that way, just like I said before, now too, we build it enough. Win or lose, everyone has something to gain from it. And then like in the time too, like, oh, then when we go to Nebraska, you guys could probably work Outrunners in a rematch and beat them there and this, like, whatever. So like, okay, how it was all painted sounded great. And then just nothing happened. So like, we were asking, hey, are we doing anything? And like, even Herson go like, hey, are you guys, what's happening? What's happening? And we didn't go anywhere. We didn't do anything with it. So I guess it was just like, oh, okay, that was the idea. And then it just kind of didn't happen. And then, then I hurt my knee and I was out. So whenever it goes, oh, we were planning to work Hurt Syndicate, and then Brian Cage hurt his knee, and then they threw Big Bill and Brian Keith in there. That's why. Like, that was never why. I mean, they could have had us booked against Hurt Syndicate, and then it didn't happen because I hurt my knee. But if that was the case, it would have been last minute random too, because as of the Dynamite before I hurt myself, there was nothing set for anything. Actually, no. I'm lying. It was originally going to be a 6-man match. It was me, Mark, and Lance versus Orange Cassidy, Mark, and who was it Will? Then and then Will Hobbs. It's going to be a 6-man Phillies like street fight kind of situation. That is right. And then right before I got hurt, Orange Cassidy got hurt, which also like made stuff a little like iffy. And then after I got hurt, Mark Davis got hurt too. So that's right. Yeah. So no, we were never booked. We were never booked to work Hurt Syndicate.
Okay. So Brian, what's the goals for you now? Short term, long term?
What's that?
What's the goals for you now, personally, short term and long term?
Well, obviously, short term is to not only recover but get back in the best shape I've ever been. a comeback and being the best wrestler I've ever been. And that being said, too, also like obviously I was in great shape and I was already performing, but I just told you about how my knee's been killing me this whole time, like really bad. So I'm hoping like, okay, cool, I'll be able to get in even better shape. I'll be able to perform and do even more afterwards because I'm hoping I'll be feeling way better than I was before. And then long term, I mean, obviously I want to go back out there and not like kill it and have some amazing matches. There's so plenty of people I want to have some great programs with, but I would say if you're not in here in this business to become, a champion, then I don't know what you're doing. Like no one trains for second place. So obviously I'd love to be the AEW world champion, but I'll just take any sort of gold at the moment to choose from. So I don't know how long that is, but if I can come back in a great way, start anew, be a better version than I already was, and then I would love to have some sort of cool program. There's, like I said, there's so many different people I'd like to work with and work, and will that be, for the unified title just happened, the TNT championship, whatever it may be, that would be the desire. I actually too also, it's not that long. I would love to be in the Continental Classic as well.
Okay, that's interesting.
What about you, bro?
So you mentioned obviously you want to be champion, but you're going to take anything right now. What am I trying to say? Would you rather come back as a heel or a face?
Funny enough, I like being a face more than I like being a heel, and I've been a heel pretty much the entire time in AEW. And I was a heel at the beginning of Lucha Underground, but if you look at my career everywhere else, I was pretty much a face everywhere else, and the independently and Impact, Lucha Underground. I enjoy being a face more. I think coming back I feel like anyone being gone and then coming back is always an instant, easy way to turn face, right? Because you're gone.
Yeah.
Like from the biggest heels, they come back and it's still like, oh great, they're back, and they still get the cheap pop, right, to come back. So I feel like it's an easy way to do it. I know I've had a couple people reach out to me and talk to me about that too, about that idea of being face. I don't have to necessarily be face, but I think I would prefer that. I know the only time I really turned face slightly was when Ricky and I had a short little feud, and it kind of sour. That's a whole long list of stories right there, but like it didn't really go that well for many reasons. So I feel like if I was to come back after being gone, that's the glass half full of being injured. Is kind of a way to kind of press reset and start anew. I would like to almost come back just as if I never debuted before and just kind of start over. And if that allows me to be a face and go from there, then that's great. I know there is unfinished business with Lance and I because we just kind of stopped, right? And I do like teaming with Lance. I don't know. The only negative to that, though, too, is I want to come back in a meaningful way where people realize that I was gone and I've came back. If I was to come back as if I was never gone, then that would be disheartening to me, if that makes sense. Like, if like my comeback was just like randomly on Collision, Lance and I went out there and beat two local guys, it would be like that's it. You know what I mean? It'd just be like, oh, it just was off TV for a little bit. Now I'm back on TV. Like that's what I don't want. I don't want to do that. So again, that doesn't mean I can't still be healed. Doesn't mean I can't be with Lance. Doesn't mean I can't be with Don Callis family. But yeah, I just want to be brought back in a meaningful way and a surprising way. And again, I mean, I don't want to put myself over. Maybe I won't get a surprise pop, but I just feel like when anybody's gone for a while and then their music hits unexpectedly, you always get the shock. It's more of the shock pop. It's not something that they're like all excited to see you, but they're surprised to see you.
Awesome.
So yeah, what's one of the biggest things you've learned in wrestling, Brian? Being in obviously the ring, the wrestling as much as you have.
I don't know if I have one solidified thing that like stands out the most. I guess from a negative standpoint, traveling freaking sucks. It's the worst. I've said it, and other people have too, where we wrestle for free and we get paid to travel because the travel is the actual work part of it, and we love to wrestle. I mean, again, just as I said earlier too, just being able to live your dream and having such a desire to succeed at something and getting to just has such a feeling of accomplishment and just like never say die, never quit attitude. Going back to my nephew saying that, like, oh, Brian never quit or gave up on wrestling. So I feel like just teaching you that kind of work ethic and mindset has been great. And then, I mean, it is a job still. So you also learn that, not everything goes your way. It's not always butterfly and rainbows. It's definitely not fake. Definitely all hurts. But it's way better than sitting in traffic, driving to your cubicle to sit for a 9-to-5 job. That's for sure. Whenever I complain about stuff, traveling wise, or delayed flights, canceled flights, whatever else, and it is a struggle. But sometimes too, my wife Melissa will be like, "Hey, you could be stuck on the freeway trying to get to your job to work, at a desk all day long." Like, just to put it in perspective, I go, yeah, I guess you're right.
John, about you, bro.
Awesome, Brian. So the last few questions, and then I know you're a very busy man. So the last few questions, obviously you mentioned.
I just sucked down my pre-workout because I'm gonna go get pumped after this. So let's go. What do we got?
Awesome. So like I said, the last few. Obviously, you mentioned the Don Callis family. Apart from Lance, who's your best friend, tag partner, who would you say is your favorite member of the family?
Oh, you can't say that. Come on.
Oh, sure you can. I don't care. Well, I mean, now it's like half the damn roster, right? So I don't know. Okay, so obviously when I was there, when there was only like 4 of us, I guess technically 5 too with Davis. Professionally, probably Kyle, because I think Kyle's great. I also love the fact being the body guy, the number one. I totally love and adore how much Kyle has transformed his body and gotten in better shape and to match his overall look to become a bigger star because he's phenomenal in the ring. Personally, surprisingly enough, it would be Don Callis himself.
Okay.
Interesting,
man. So, what would you say Tony Khan is like as a boss?
He's very great at being a human being, not just a boss. And so what I mean by that is, I feel like there's so many people, especially obviously in wrestling, that they don't care about you. You're cattle. You're replaceable. You're expendable. I want to just run you dry. Then when you're done, go put you out to pasture and bring somebody else in. So the fact that when I got signed, so my last weekend at Impact Wrestling, I tore my bicep and I needed to have surgery. And I know I had deals on the table. I know I already got my contract from AEW. I had already signed it. I hadn't got a countersigned yet, so I'm not signed. And my bicep's torn. And I'm like, son of a bitch. Because I know with an issue where I almost got signed back to WWE once, I got my contract rescinded. So now I'm thinking about, I was like, great, I'm going to get my contract rescinded. And now I'm going to be SOL. Now Impact still offered me a deal too. And so I was like, worst case, I can stay with Impact. And they offered me a really good deal to stay, like substantially good deal to stay at Impact. And the main reason I wanted to go to AEW, obviously not only was because it was the new fish in town and everybody's excited about it, but I felt like, and Ring of Honor offered me a great deal as well. But I felt like if I stayed at like Impact or Ring of Honor or TNA, whatever you want to call it, I felt like my ceiling was still the same. I just felt like AEW was the only place for me to grow. So I was like, all right, let's do it. And I wanted to go there, and I had the torn bicep, and I was stressing out. And then Tony Khan calls me. It's I think it was like the day that they're leaving on the Jericho cruise, because I even talked about going on the Jericho cruise, and Tony liked it and wanted me to, but he also didn't because that year, we got the second one, whatever that's where they did AEW from the cruise, and it was there's only AEW people on it, nobody else. So he's like, oh, if you're there, everyone knows you're signed because you're there. You know what I mean? And it goes, if you're not, because I wouldn't be wrestling yet. And I was like, yeah, true. But nevertheless, so he calls me and he goes, "Hey man, I heard you hurt your arm. I'm stressing out too because I wasn't thinking about it. And I was like, maybe I just won't get surgery, which would be devastating for me, but then I could heal faster, I could debut. I was just trying to think of a way to like not lose my job." So he calls me, he goes, "I heard you hurt your arm. I just want to let you know, you're probably worried about it." And he goes, "Don't worry. We still like you. We still want you. We still trust in you. We're going to sign you. We're going to pay you. Get surgery. Get it taken care of. Let us know when you're good and we'll bring you in." And then he goes, "And even then, a step further, if you want, I can fly you out to Jacksonville. You can see the Jaguars doctor and he can do the surgery for you if you need." And I was like, wow, right? Like nobody else would have done that. Nobody else. And I get it too. On top of also signing me and paying me, because I make this analogy, it's like if you will go and you buy a car, and then you sign the paperwork, you give them the down payment, you buy the car, and then the dealership goes, "Oh, by the way, we're gonna have to fix a couple of things on this car, so you have to pay for it, your monthly payments, but you're not gonna be able to drive it for a few months." You'd be like, "What? Well, hold on, no, I'm not buying this car." Then it makes sense. So like, had I had they gone that route, I would have been devastated, but I would understand. I would get it. And they could always be like, "Oh, we can sign you again when you're healed," but that doesn't guarantee anything. So again, to play it back from a humanitarian standpoint, I thought that was phenomenal. And needless to say, that's something that I always will hold in high value, regardless of anything. I can't take that away from him. And that meant a lot to me. And I was like, wow, that really speaks volumes to like, who he is. And then you look at him too and how he's taking care of, Brody's family, Brody Lee's family after he passed away, and Briscoe as well when he passed away, and just there's just different that makes him. People always say there's a line in the business where it's like you should leave the biz better than you found it, and I feel like Tony has definitely been doing that. Whether he's trying to or not, he's definitely added a more of a humanitarian, human aspect to wrestling that wasn't there before, if ever.
Yeah, definitely. And I didn't know about that, but that's incredible. Great guy, and not like I ever would, but I hope I touch wood, have him as a guest on the podcast in the near future. Not like it might happen, but we can always dream, eh?
Absolutely.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Just a final two questions, man. Who is your Mount Rushmore of professional wrestling?
Geez. There's always so many different variables I could put in there too, as far as like who, what, when, or why. Because obviously you have your Mount Rushmores of like who the biggest stars are, and that's still debatable, but it's easier to pick. But as far as my Mount Rushmore, so I want to pick just people that I like and wrestler wise and ability wise, and that I was just favorite of. I mean, I'm gonna obviously have Shawn Michaels, gonna have AJ Styles, gonna have Chris Kanyon, and you know what? It'd be way too more taboo. I would like to put Chris Benoit there, wrestling wise, because he's kind of blacked out. You could replace him with Eddie Guerrero or Kurt Angle. I would say for sure. And then if you have the Mount Rushmore just of wrestling, I mean, it's got to be. I would like to keep Shawn Michaels in there, but I mean, obviously, you could put like it would probably be, Austin, Rock. Hogan, Flair, and Cena are all pretty interchangeable, I would say as well. Like to me, those are the top five. Those five names are the biggest names in wrestling. Like when you just think of pro wrestling, what's put pro wrestling on the map, what's transcended and gone out beyond pro wrestling. Those are the five biggest names in wrestling for sure.
100%. 100%, man. So I like to finish every interview off to be positive. So what is an inspirational message from Brian Cage, the Machine?
Everyone has a dream. Everyone has a passion. Everybody has a desire. A lot of people don't succeed or fulfill those dreams or desires, not because they fail, but because they never try. And a lot of people never try because they're scared to fail. When the only way to fail is to never try. I don't mean to make that some sort of rhyme or riddle, but that's just it. Everyone has a passion. Everyone has a desire. There's probably only about 5% that do whatever it takes to go after those and make those dreams happen. And a lot more people could be more successful if they actually did that as well. And I feel like a lot, again, people just want to play it safe. They want to just like, hey, let's just take it easy. And also a lot of friends and family members can almost be, not want to see you succeed, not really give you the support. And not because maliciously they don't want to see you succeed, but for two reasons. One, again, like even my mom, she was kind of like, not because she didn't want me to go after my dream, but because she wanted me to have a safe, realistic job, just to have, financial stability for myself. There's that aspect, and there's also the aspect of other people, even if they're doing well financially, they're probably at a job that they don't love, that they don't enjoy, and it isn't what they wanted to do. And they didn't ever even try to probably do what they wanted to do. So they don't want to see somebody else go out there and succeed, or even attempt at succeeding at their dream, because inside they're like, damn, if he did it, why didn't I? You know what I mean? So I guess what I'm trying to say is, whatever your passion dream is, because everybody has one, go after it and do it today, not tomorrow. Everybody thinks, oh, I'll start tomorrow, start today. Because the fear, for me anyways, the fear of unknowing and the fear of what if and regret is worse than the feeling of, okay, I tried and it didn't work out.
Yeah.
That's a brilliant thing to end on.
Yeah. Brian, honestly, I hope you a speedy recovery.
Absolutely.
You're a machine. You're one of my favorites, and I'm pretty sure you're one of Liam's favorites as well. It's really been an honor from myself. Liam will have his little speech in a minute. It's been an honor from myself to have you on. I really do appreciate your time, because I know, like I said, I know you're a busy man. You're trying to get your shakes in, you're trying to get your workout in. Do you know what I mean? But thank you. I do appreciate it.
No worries,
Brian,
guys. That was a pleasure.
Absolutely, Brian. Do you know what I mean? I thank you so much, obviously, for being open and honest and stuff like that, because this is the first time me and John has obviously done one together, right?
Yeah.
So, but no.